Hello everyone, this is Jen and I make useful English Lit study videos on Shakespeare, poetry, fiction, literary devices and more to help you get top grades in the subject. So in today's video, I want to home in on one of the minor characters in Macbeth, which is the porter at Macbeth's castle. He appears briefly in Act 2, Scene 3, right after the heavy scene where Macbeth has murdered Duncan. Some have commented on the porter scene as being an example of comic relief. But while the porter's tone is quite flippant, the underlying messages of his speech aren't quite so light-hearted, as we will go on to see in our analysis. In his speech, the porter reacts to the knocking at the castle entrance by imagining what different characters could come through had he been guarding the gates of hell. Immediately, we spot a glaring parallel between the Macbeth's castle and the domain of hell, which is, of course, the realm of evil. And having committed the cardinal sin of regicide, Macbeth is here suggested to be the devil reincarnate. This, of course, is a tempting and convenient interpretation which seems to make perfect sense. But if we examine the rest of the porter's knocking speech and consider the other characters that he alludes to, we'll see that characterizing Macbeth as this sort of paragon of evil is perhaps rather too simplistic a reading, lacking in nuance and, as such, thoroughly un-Shakespearean, if you will. So we're going to go on and explore deeper. So let's begin by asking a structural question. Why does Shakespeare place this porter scene right after the Macbeth's murderous act? First, consider all the scenes that precede the porter's appearance. From the start of the play's action, the audience's attention has largely been directed towards the Macbeth's diabolical plan of regicide. Beginning from the Three Witches' prophecy up until the point of the murder, the focal point of the play has been narrowly centered on the Macbeths. The dramatic pacing which leads up to the murder is accelerated. A couple of chaotic and impassioned exchanges later, and the deed is done. As such, the audience is likely to be led by this torrent of dramatic portrayal to view the Macbeths as these singular, ruthless and inhumane characters, and to conclude that husband and wife are these figures of evil. Now, this is where the porter scene serves a key and interesting role, because it challenges this moralizing perception by putting the Macbeth sin in a broader perspective. Having focused so long on the couple's descent into sin, we may forget that plenty of others roaming about in the world, not least ourselves, are daily descending into their own kinds of sin. And these people are, in fact, ordinary folks, ranging from the prosaic, the farmer and the tailor, to the professional and the devout, an equivocator, which could be understood as a lawyer or a Jesuit priest, because Jesuits back then were known to have practiced equivocation in order to avoid persecution from Protestant reformers. So what does this juxtaposition between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, these characters of high social station, vis-a-vis the unnamed ordinary people in the porter speech, these characters of lower social station, suggest? One possible idea is that sin pervades all classes and ranks, and that no sinner, regardless of how powerful they were in life, is ever exempt from the same fate of going the primrose way to the everlasting bonfire, which is hell. So by creating this awareness, the porter curbs our impulse to demonize the Macbeths or to view them as these grotesque moral anomalies, and invites us instead to see this errant couple as constructs of universal human flawedness, rather than unique representations of demonic evil. By the way guys, I'd massively appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button below, subscribe to my channel and switch on that bell notification if you find this video helpful so far. This would really help me carry on making these useful English Lit study videos so that you can get top grades in the subject and we can inspire more people to enjoy the study of literature. Now, an alternative reading of the speech is more historicist in its orientation, because it alludes specifically to the 1606 trial of a man named Henry Garnet, who was a Jesuit priest that was part of the gunpowder plot coup against James I. Now, scholars in support of this reading cite evidence such as the word farmer being a moniker for Garnet, and the fact that Garnet was a Jesuit who had practiced equivocation, and also the fact that a tailor had borne witness at the Garnet trial. This is in line with the suggested notion that Macbeth is largely a cautionary play inspired by the failed gunpowder coup, which was initiated by a group of Catholic malcontents who were unhappy with James I's Protestant-leaning government and policies. Viewed in this light then, the Porter speech would have functioned as a bridging moment between theatrical fiction and socio-political reality. Strategically positioned right after the potentially risky portrayal of a regicide, it serves to remind the Jacobean audience that dire consequences await anyone who dares to entertain any malicious ideas against the king. So Shakespeare, as this chief playwright of the king's men, must communicate a politically sensible message that murdering the rightful monarch would only lead to one destination and one destination only: the Hellgates. This is perhaps also why the knocking that Lady Macbeth and her husband hear at the end of Act 2, Scene 2 so fluidly connects right into the next scene with the porter's acknowledgement of "here's a knocking indeed." No imaginative space can be left for toying with any idea other than that rebellious and regicidal thoughts must be nipped right in the bud. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope my quick analysis of the Porter's speech in Macbeth gives you some new and deeper insights into the play, and that it levels up your understanding and appreciation of Shakespeare. Don't forget to check out my Macbeth playlist, which I will link to in the description box below, and hit that thumbs up button if you found this video helpful for your studies, so that the YouTube algorithm can spread it to more passionate, top-grade students like yourself, and that I can continue making these weekly study videos for you down the line. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and switch on that bell notification so you don't miss out on any of my weekly videos once they're posted, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!